everybody. Good morning. It is Friday. I think more significant than that is it's a status post Hurricane Ian. So what an interesting, development. Admittedly, I am very much a Floridian at this point, which is to say that I don't really react to hurricane warnings and all that other stuff until shit gets real, like 24 hours out kind of thing. So I was definitely not poo-pooing it, but being kind of like, yeah, okay, well, we'll see how it pans out, because these shits, they downgrade all the time. They move, like their paths are so unpredictable, and we're always getting some shit in Florida, So I was just like, whatever. I got a camping stove with butane. I got my meals prepped, It's like, all I really need to do is clean my house, because that's one thing you do learn for hurricane prep is that, like, if you lose power and your shit is dirty, it's only going to get sticky and dirty, and nobody wants that. So, like, doing all the dishes, getting the floors done so that if you're out of power, you're not walking on tacky, sweaty, sticky floors. It's really the only hurricane prep that I, have your food ready, have some sort of a camping stove or something to boil water, make coffee, that kind of thing, or you could just make cold brew. But so I was more or less prepared, wasn't even sweating it, and I have a generator that I've never used, so I wasn't sweating it. But it turned out to be much more significant. I lost power very briefly though before the storm really got kicked up, maybe because they were checking shit, checking the lines and messing with it, but it came back on, and I have maintained power this entire time. So I'm very, very fortunate. I'm in Central Florida. My backyard flooded, but the water's back down as of now. Some of my neighbor's property flooded the front, but again, don't think there was any damage to the interior of the homes. So pretty grateful. But more than that, y'all, I gotta tell you, to have a full day off, a surprise day off, to really just relax. Granted, still got up and did my cardio, got up and did my steps at 4 a.m. before the storm got real. I did what I had to do. But other than that, to not have to worry about work, to not have to worry about sleeping or waking or any of that, like a set time, was a nice treat. Disasters and things like this really remind us of what's important, which is ourselves and our safety and well-being. So it was really nice to kind of chill the fuck out, and a nice segue into peak week and I don't want to say deloading, but basically, So still waiting on the peak week protocol from coach. She's working on it. I'm pretty sure we're going to drop carbs again pretty soon here, like in 2 days at most, and just kind of slowly bring them back up going into peak week. I'm going to focus on not overtraining my legs right now, because there's no benefit to that. Really, the cardio and rest and recovery are going to help bring my legs out. I don't really think I'm going to do any physique updates right now, because as I kind of alluded to last upload, I think that the finished product will be more interesting. I will say this. I'm not a very competitive person, but when you do the work, you can't, and the day's approaching, at least I can't really not think about the competition portion of it. And so while my why remains the stage routine, and I'm so excited because I'm tweaking some things there, I did look over the scoring, the judges' scoring and criteria, because the thing about me is, we discussed my shape is nice. I think my posing is pretty good. I think I understand posing more because I'm such a nerd about it, so I think it looks aesthetic. But my thing is, I don't think I'll be as conditioned as the other ladies. They have more mature muscle, they're leaner starting out, but with that also comes the fact that they're smaller. I have every reason to believe that I have about 15 or 20 pounds more size on these ladies. So it makes for a very interesting comparison, right? And it is a subjective sport, but I might, based on the judging criteria, which I will include right here, if you look at it, conditioning is actually the least significant, like the least, it's like 1 to 3 points for that, but you can get 1 to 5 points for everything else. So there's a good chance here, especially with side-by-sides, that I could do better than I was expecting, that maybe my conditioning won't be the thing that hurts me the most, because I will likely look bigger, fuller, more like meaty, like a bodybuilder. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm actually very excited about that. There will also be a live stream, so if y'all want to follow along there. So I'll include the link to the live stream in the description. I think it's like $22 after tax and everything, after fees. But so I'll be competing in a number of different categories because YOLO. And so the first category to go on is amateur figure, which is the first thing I'm doing. So if you tune in at 10 a.m. Eastern time, I should be one of the first people on stage. So that's pretty cool. And then I'm competing in 2 pro divisions thereafter. So that's later, I think after 1 o'clock. Another cool thing is that mother effing Tom Platz is going to be guest judging. The quad father. Insane. And I spoke on this a little bit on my Insta, but it occurred to me, a different audience here. So Tom Platz, legendary bodybuilder with tremendous quads and all of that made him, a legend in that respect. But he was also a little spicy one. That's it. He's spicy because in true bodybuilder fashion, oblivious to like social norms, he had this pose that I think is called the full moon pose, where he bent over and like touched his toes some yoga sandwich type of way to accentuate and showcase his hamstrings and his glutes, or the glutes on each of his respective hamstrings. It's just like split right over them. And that pose was ultimately banned from bodybuilding because it was too provocative. So dude definitely has a spirit I can relate to, It's all about showcasing the gains. It doesn't even occur to you that maybe it's not appropriate, right? So he'll be guest judging, which is nuts, right? Also, mother effing Carla Dunlap is going to be there, which is just the most touching thing for me as far as like an experience, I mean, she was a pioneer in all of this, and she's a brown lady, you know what I mean? Like to be a brown female bodybuilder before we had this kind of diversity represented everywhere, for her to see that for herself, to be like, I want to do that. I want to be a bodybuilder, and why the fuck shouldn't I be? Especially when women weren't even bodybuilders, I think. So it's just crazy, like for her to be so progressive and amazing, and even her routines, like she was dancing on stage. It wasn't all about, she was fluid, she was dynamic, she was all those things. And so for her to be in attendance as Diesel Glory graces the stage for the first time is another kind of beautiful it just feels like my life is a movie, you know what I mean? It's not a rom-com. Definitely has some comedic elements, but it feels like just a beautiful movie. So it's good stuff, everybody. Let me navigate this puddle real quick and hop back on and talk to y'all a little bit about prep related things. Alrighty, Roo. I guess I don't know that a prep update really matters right now. Like, I don't know that I have much to assess right now. I feel like in a couple days I'll have so much more to say. But I will say this, for the hurricane prep, I was on top of things, right? I thought I was on top of things. The one thing that I failed to have planned for, the one thing that I didn't have was fucking coffee, caffeinated coffee. Because y'all remember how I was like, I'm only doing decaf, I'm only doing coffee once a day. So yeah, I didn't have any caffeinated coffee, any real espresso in my house. And I miss it so much. So I'm gonna go for a walk now to the store and pick up some espresso. I have plenty of decaf espresso, but y'all know how that first cup of coffee hits, man. Especially if you don't abuse caffeine. Like, it's so nice to get that one real cup. Just, man. So that's the only thing I'm really sweating right now. And not even that. I'm chill, man. I ain't even been taking ashwagandha, and I'm chill, man. Because I'm doing the work and we're getting through it. And again, very excited about the routine. So I'm getting some coffee today, and I'm so excited. Also, the commercial gym is open today, so I'm gonna head over there in a little bit to train some bench, some deadlifts, some accessory work. This will probably be my last heavy lifting session before we start changing everything for more like pump work or just focusing much more on cardio. All right, I'll attempt a prep update. We'll see how it goes. So hunger is the first one. Hunger. Yesterday was a low carb day. I was hungry. Come to find out, I had forgotten about one snack, but I was so hungry. I ended up deploying the Metamucil packet. I ended up, it was a lot. I got moody. It was wild. So at the end of the day, I realized I did actually have some calories left. So I made myself a big high volume protein shake with a thickener, and that was amazing. And then I slept like a baby for almost 8 whole hours. That was the best I've done all week. So again, going to bed with something in your system makes for a restful night's sleep. So hunger's been higher. A little nervous about the whatever low carb day we're going to be doing here, low carbs or whatever we're going to be doing as far as carbs in the next few days, just because this one was so challenging for me. But we'll be all right. The thing of it is, I can't think straight without caffeine, everybody, today. The thing of it is that whatever's going on it'll be for less than a week, realistically, or maybe exactly a week. Whatever we change will be for no more than a week. So you just got to look at things and keep it in perspective. Also, it might not be so bad because, again, I think the reason why yesterday was so tough for me was because I completely forgot a meal. Like, the hell? Anyway, there's that. So hunger has been higher, but hard to assess because I literally forgot to eat something. And so that caught up to me, let's just say. And then that was fixed. Energy and performance. I mean, I can't complain. It's nothing like before, you know what I mean? And also having all this time off these last couple days has really helped. Can't complain, everybody. I'm really tired right now, but we've addressed that. It's the lack of caffeine. And it'll be nice to get the coffee now and make it before I train. So it'll be like a pre-workout. Energy and performance. Libido, fine. Not much else to say there. Boo thing came over for the hurricane, so we got to shack up, and that was so much fun. What else, everybody? I don't know. Morning, everybody. I have attempted to film this peak week upload 3 times on 3 different days. So I do have my peak week plan. I actually ended up having it Saturday morning or something like that. I had it, but I'd already recorded, so it's just all that is irrelevant now. Here we go. So first thing that comes to mind is it's funny how things are progressive, the whole progressive overload, time under tension with all things training, because the same applies with prep. You know, all these skills that you develop during prep, as far as like your water intake, as far as your training, your meal adherence, all that stuff, and your buy-in for the whole process, for the details, for the work. It's funny how all of those things come together and like intensify towards the end, especially when you're depleted. It's a special thing, everybody. So one thing that didn't really surprise me, but was like, oh yes, forgot about this kind of thing, was how intense peak week is, as far as like day-to-day specific things you have to do and all of that. So I definitely had to write a fuck ton of lists to keep it all organized. So the general approach to peak week, I would think for most people, but everybody's different, is a couple things change. Starting from the top, training changes. You don't really want to, you're not building muscle during peak week. You're not, you're touching things up. So you're not trying to train in such a way that you can't recover from your training. It's really just to stimulate the muscles and keep it moving. You are not training, you know, to failure. You're not training for, to be sore. You're training for a pump, to pump blood into the muscles. And so yesterday was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday was my last full body regular training intensity training session. From this point forward, it will be like short 30-minute pump workouts. So maybe 2 exercises, 15 to 20 reps per body part, and just quick, you know, just to get blood into the muscle. So that's one major thing that's changing. And I'm not training every day or anything like that. I'm just training maybe 2 times this week before flying out, just to keep the muscles, you know, awake, like, hey, y'all, we're here, we're doing this. So that's one thing that's changed with training. No longer wearing the weighted vest while I get my steps. Just trying to reduce inflammation, trying to just move, but not necessarily add more resistance to anything. So no longer wearing the weighted vest. Steps are staying the same until we get closer to show, then they're dropping to 8K, from 12K to 8K. Big things that also are changing is water intake. That's the thing I forgot. That's kind of the point I was getting at too. So my normal water intake for prep has been 1.5 gallons. That's been the same during the weekend, but now today's Monday. So Monday and Tuesday, I'll be doing 2 gallons a day. And that's where things like this really come in handy, because normally what I would do for my 1.5 gallons is I would drink 3 of these. These are half-gallon jugs. But now if I did that, I think I'd get confused. I'd freaking refill it before it was empty. I would do all kinds of stuff. So having a solid 1-gallon water jug and just having to focus on drinking 2 of them a day is gonna be good. And that's what they call water loading. To just flush, 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 drink, drink, drink. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. But it's very important that you adhere to your water intake during peak week. Like every little detail counts. It's not just like an arbitrary thing. And then Wednesday, we start pulling water a little bit. So going down from 2 gallons to 1.25 and so on. So anyway, start pulling water. I assume and believe the philosophy is that you get your body used to flushing water, and then you reduce the water, so then you're drier. Because your body's used to a certain amount, used to flushing out a certain amount, and is gonna continue to do that even after you've stopped drinking as much. It's kind of like a dry sponge, I guess, maybe, something like that, whatever, something like that. I am still taking creatine because the creatine keeps the water in your muscle cells. And then I'll be saunaing until I can't any longer, which will likely be, I get my hair done tomorrow. So I probably will still sauna. Maybe I'll just wear like a microfiber hair towel or something, because I don't want to just like not sauna for several days when I have access to one. I have one in my house, believe it or not, because I'm freaking bougie when it comes to recovery. Ooh, on that note, I should get a massage. Anyway, so water's another thing, and then food. So with food, we're depleting carbs. My low carb days, I'm being fully transparent with you all. I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but my lower carb days were like 90, 94 grams of carbs, which is a joke to a lot of people. But remember that prep is unique to each individual, and I worked up to a certain amount of carbs, and then we've been pulling them down. So my low carb days were 94 grams or so. And now with peak week, we're down to like 54 grams of carbs. Protein is pretty much the same, anywhere from 134 to 150 grams for me in my body. And then and the fats are higher, but then the protein is gonna go lower as we increase the carbs leading up to the show. Yeah. So low carb, the first low carb day was pretty challenging, like the 50 grams of carbs, but I think I mentioned in my previous thing that it was because I missed a freaking meal. So it was vital to have eaten and I didn't. But now actually, it hasn't been so bad. I think it's just where my head's at, all the adrenaline, and then just, I got things to do, everybody. And half the time, like I've also been fasting for my walks as well. So that means that in the morning, you know, I'm doing the cardio. Oh, I didn't mention cardio, I'll get to that. I'm doing the cardio fasted, and then I go for a walk fasted. So that's a couple of hours that I get to kill without eating. So once I start eating, I'm like eating later in the day, my food lasts longer. So I'm not really feeling that discomfort. Also, all that effing water is very helpful in not feeling super hungry. So the hunger really hasn't been an issue so far. This has been like 2 days. This will be day 3 of my low carb, the 50 grams. The hunger hasn't been too bad because of the increased water, because of the change to my meal timing, kind of pushing everything, the eating stuff further down in the day. But then on top of that, the adrenaline, and I'm so busy, you know? So So what I will say is that with lower carb does come lower energy though. And that is something I have felt. Like, recall the whole no caffeine after fasted cardio. You know, I'm doing caffeine all the time now because I really need it. So really, really tired, head fog, all that good stuff. But it's all temporary, you know, and then the carbs will go up. So it's all good. Definitely relying a little bit more heavily on a meal plan right now, because otherwise with the changes in the macros from day to day and everything, it's hard to keep track of all that. So there's that. But, you know, I can see my abs, my legs are slowly coming in. It's fine, everybody. I've discovered new vascularity in my core situation. So peak week is another level because you're really doing the bodybuilder thing. You're really dialing in the nutrition, the water intake, the sodium, the freaking this and that and the other, you know, really focusing on recovery. I'm going to try to get as much sleep as possible. You know, my sleep has been okay. You know, I've been managing. So it's just another level. And then when you add travel to that and also food, because I'm going to be landing on Thursday and the show is not until Saturday. So I have to be prepared with food for that entire time. And so my strategy for that is I'm going to prep a whole bunch of chicken, some rice. I'm going to do a checked bag with like oils and nut butters and all the things that I would normally not be able to take on a plane, and just have all my food with me. I'm bringing a scale, I'm bringing a blender, I'm bringing blah, 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 and I'll go to the store and pick up some things. But it's a lot of planning and execution, and that's where seriously adulting really comes in handy and bodybuilding skills come in handy. So yeah, peak week, everybody. As of today, Monday, we are 4 days out. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, Fridays are check-ins and the show is Saturday. So 4 or 5 days out right now. And I feel good. I'm honestly not stressed because the cake is already in the oven, everybody. And honestly, the fact is that the transformation has been progressive. So whether or not I look as shredded as I would like to or not, it's still a level of leanness that I haven't had all prep. So there's still something to celebrate when I look in the mirror. No GI issues. Posing is getting better and better. So it's still that personal joy that this whole thing is about, right? About staying in your lane, comparing yourself to yourself, improving upon your starting position and your previous position. And so there's that, you know, that it's really not, comparison is the thief of joy, not comparing yourself to anybody else, just comparing yourself to yourself. And when I do that, and when I look in the mirror, and when I wake up in the morning, I feel good. I feel good about the progress. I feel like there is that momentum. The momentum I wish I had since the start. I'm getting now. I have some momentum now. So, you know, I'm truly happy right now because this is the part of bodybuilding that I like. Making the progress, seeing the changes, feeling like I have momentum. I don't know. That's the feeling that this is all for, what this is all about. So, not complaining there. I wouldn't say I'm suffering. I'm on the other side of that entirely because I'm seeing fucking progress and we're getting towards a big day and everything, so I'm excited. So yeah, no, I'm doing good there. The only thing I'm still very stressed out about is the makeup. I'm not a makeup person, certainly not a stage makeup person, and I'm very reluctant to pay this lady $150 to fucking do makeup on my face. So I'm gonna attempt to do it myself, test it today, I guess, with the concealer and the blending and all that good stuff and see what it looks like. And then if it looks acceptable to me, then I'll just do my own makeup for the show. That's the only thing, because it would be a shame. You know, you really, for stage with the lights and everything, it's different kind of makeup than, you know, day-to-day stuff, just foundation and a freaking setting powder. So yeah, I got lashes. So that's really the only other lingering thing. Aside from packing and having everything put together and having the food prepped and everything else, the makeup is the only other stressor right now for me. So I want to keep this short and sweet, hopefully upload it for you guys today. Probably not a lot of edits in this segment because, you know, I'm just going to run through it. But I did want to add one other thing, not really related to my prep, but just like a beautiful bookend to this whole natty politics situation. My friend Vira, who did the whole natty politics, you know, with an OCB Pro segment, the interview I did, who had shared about her bodybuilding career and her experience at the Natty Super Bowl, and how the OCB's rule affected her and her career and her ambitions, and how conflicted she was for quite some time, but how she was finally thinking about branching out and stepping on a different stage. She went ahead and jumped into an NPC natural stage this last weekend and earned her IFBB Pro card. So, and the commentary, the not the judge's commentary, but the commentator commentary was just the stuff of dreams.
I don't see anybody of all of figure beating her. She is going to be your overall. I'm already picking her as the overall figure winner.
That's it. Yeah, I agree. Hands down.
Yeah. Phenomenal delts and back. I mean, just right into a nice tiny waist. Their quads are just, I mean, there's honestly.
Her delts are crazy though. It's on point.
All right, so what do you tell an athlete, like, what do you tell her she needs to work on?
Oh, wow. Like I said, you said it. She has this wow factor, and I just said, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? Talked about it. She gave so much grace to the OCB, and she still is a natural athlete with a love of natural bodybuilding. But her gut told her that she has achieved a level of mastery that demands being on a different stage. She did that. And the commentary, y'all, the praise, the reward. So now she's an IFBB Pro. Maybe we can get her on here sometime to talk about what that entails, what the contract is like, you know, what, if any, money there's involved, you know, I don't know, but it's pretty incredible. So I wanted to celebrate her and congratulate her and give you guys some closure on that. And then it made me think about I don't know that I have time for this, actually. Let's just leave it there, to be discussed later. I was going to do a defense of the OCB, or defense of natty politics, because I've been talking to a lot of different people, OCB folks and non-OCB folks, and then just taking stock of my position. And I've come to realize that really it's just a question of what kind of athlete are you and what kind of goals do you have, and where are you in your career. Basically, there's reasons why the OCB and their rules make a lot of sense for some people, and there's reasons why it's like a cage for others. And so I wanted to speak on that a little bit, but that is a totally different conversation. If I'm fortunate enough to be able to get another interview with another OCB Pro, maybe we'll have a real discussion about it. And also maybe after the show, you know, I'll have more to say on it. But for right now, I'll just leave it there, that there's definitely more than even two sides to a situation. But as I talk to more athletes and as I consider other things like the drug testing and everything else, I can appreciate the place of the OCB in all of this. But yeah, there's just different strokes for different folks, as they call it. But truly, based on what kind of athlete you are and what you care about, that will probably dictate where you choose to have membership and where you choose to compete and all that. So I'll speak on that another time. But for today, everybody, peak week is upon us. 5 days out, here we go. And doing okay. We'll see what's on the other side, and just do the work and keep it moving.